This is the Storied Outdoors, a podcast somewhere between Lewis and Tolkien and Lewis and Clark, finding clarity in the stories we tell and the adventures that shape us.
Welcome to the Storied Outdoors. I'm Brian Gill and joined as always by my good friend and co-host Brad Hill. Today we are joined by MaryBeth Meeks. MaryBeth is an artist and a fisherwoman. She is not just any artist though. She specializes in block prints of nature and wildlife, and specifically fish is kind of one of her specialties. And I can't wait to hear more about that. MaryBeth, thank you so much for coming on the show with us.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for having me. It's such an honor to be with you all today. So thank you.
Yeah, we have so enjoyed seeing, social media. We get to know people through social media. And so that's how we found out about you. And man, I'm fascinated by, what you do and your artist. My daughter's real into art. So every time I find something neat, I check this out. Stella, she's 12, and I check this out. This is a different way of, doing art. It is a different way. Will you tell us about this specific way that you like to do this art called a block print? What in the world is a block print?
Okay, so I actually have visuals. I brought some visuals. So what I'll start out with, this is an actual block. Some of them are made of wood. This one is actually rubber that I like to use. And it starts out completely flat. There's nothing on it. I'll transfer my sketch to it, and then I use these little tiny tools and I carve out all the lines. And then after I've got that carved, then I'll ink it with, I usually use paintbrushes because it gets the ink on there how I like it. And then I take this and then I press it onto paper and then pull it off, and then you have your image. So it's kind of like a stamp. Most people will kind of reference it like a stamp.
Oh, that makes sense. So how are you transferring your actual drawing to the block? What does that look like?
It's like a transfer, paper. So I'll because it takes me, what I don't usually show is it takes me forever to sketch the drawing, because I mess up. I have to start over because the scale of all the lines it's tough. And so I make all my mistakes. Yeah, I make all my mistakes on that, and then once I get it finished, then I'll press that transfer paper onto the rubber and lift it off, and the image is there. So
and then you take what looks like an X-Acto knife. Is that be the right term?
Yeah, it's like a little. Yep.
And you carve out the recesses where you want it to be.
Yep.
That's really cool.
My mind is still trying to wrap my mind around this. It's. You're almost having to do this in reverse.
I do in reverse. Yes. Yes.
Oh my goodness. It takes everything I can do to get a decent looking picture on paper, just the normal way. And you're here reverse engineering this thing. And it's
backwards.
How do you do so you got multiple layers. I mean, the turkey print that you've done it blows my mind. I was looking at that yesterday. There are so many different colors on that. And how do you get these? Are you layering it? Are you laying them on top of one another?
Okay, so here's the funny thing about block printing ink is it's made to use a braid, where you roll it on. It's not I'm not supposed to use it like I use it. I'm kind of a little bit of a renegade in the block printing community. But so I have to do it really quickly, the colors that I do use. And so I start with a base layer, and then I kind of build the colors on top of that. It's a process. Yeah. The birds are really tricky. Yeah. But I kind of when I describe it to people, I'm I see colors in layers, and I kind of to me, that's how I feel God created these creatures. He almost built them, the beautiful colors and all the lines and everything in layers. So that's kind of how I dissected art. So
I mean, when you encounter these animals in person, I think maybe birds more than fish, perhaps, that they're so intricate. I mean, like Brian was saying, there's so many layers to say a turkey. My brother is a big time. He loves turkey hunting, and so I never really got into it. But seeing
they're beautiful,
seeing the ones that he's brought home, the iridescence.
Yes.
As the light hits those feathers, I mean, it's almost the movie Predator. I mean, their camouflage changes as they walk through the light. It's
Exactly.
really quite incredible.
That's so true.
You've been able to get. Oh, wait, go ahead, Beth.
How do we start block print? Like, how did you get into that? Right. Like,
Okay, so
that was the other question for me.
Yeah, I had a 3-year-old little girl, and then so I used to teach school. I taught 3rd grade for 9 years before I started doing this, and then we had twins, and I was like, okay, well, 3 in childcare is pretty much more than what I make as a teacher, and I'm a school teacher, so stayed home with them for a little bit, and I grew up painting with my gran. She was very artistic. She was very, I call her fancy, but she was very fancy, and she did amazing botanical watercolor, like art prints. And so I grew up with that, and I've always used art kind of like as an outlet for myself. And I needed some kind of outlet when I was home with 3 little girls. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get back into art. And I saw somebody actually I think they were carving into wood. And I was like, that looks so therapeutic to me. And that's how it started. I got myself like a little starter kit, and I sat there. I don't hold the tools like I'm supposed to. Like, I literally taught myself how to do it. Like, I'm a little, like, I just do everything how felt like easiest to me. And I just figured it out.
That's so cool.
Well, you figured it out, and you're amazing at it. I mean, it's not just not just thrown together. I mean, this is incredible.
I think the thought is maybe everybody else is doing it wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
maybe. Yeah. I know people like the blog printing community probably look at my stuff and they're like, what is she doing? But
you
that's
can't
how
do
I do
that.
it. Right, exactly. She's such a rule breaker. Yeah. So
I've noticed that you've recently had some larger prints. I mean, that tarpon is incredible. That's almost life size.
It's big. Yeah. It's like 35 inches. And everybody's like, that's an amazing commission. I'm like, it wasn't a commission. It was just one of those things. Like, I wanted to see if I could do it. I just wanted to see if I could piece together, a bunch of these and make a bigger picture. So, yeah.
Well, so tell us about fishing. How did you get into that? Your gran helped you get into art.
Okay, well, the funny thing is, my gran, that was very fancy, was married to a very outdoorsy, fishing for crappie and hunting squirrels, pawpaw. So while I would go fishing, my
pawpaws love it. A pawpaw's gonna know how to fish.
I hope I'm a pawpaw.
I know. Pawpaws are the best. But I grew up in Jasper it's literally working cattle farm. He raised cattle. And with those cattle, there was a cattle pond, like right in our backyard. And so he had rows, like he was the best old school pawpaw. Like he had rows of Cahaba trees, like right next to the cattle pond.
Oh, yeah.
He would just go to the tree, like grab you some Cahaba worms, take your pole. Like I had a little Snoopy, like, Zebco rod and reel that we all started on, and would spend my afternoons down there. So, yeah.
Man, that's a source of some great fun right there.
It was. Yeah.
It was worms and a Zebco 33.
Yeah. Every kid's dream, right?
I mean, that sums up so many people's intro into fishing right there.
Into fishing, yeah.
What is so do you fish a lot still though, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Have you switched over to fly fishing completely, or do you still throw a bait cast every now and then?
I'm not afraid to put like a cork in or a bobber in the water every now and then, but I love, like, my love for fly fishing has grown, especially so much this past year. It's like something, how you like want to do something, and there's something that you feel like you need to do, like your body, your soul, like it needs it. Yep. Like that's how I feel about it. Yeah.
I get it.
I think we're kindred spirits, sister.
Yeah. You just like, you go for a little bit and you're like, I need to put my feet back in the water. Like I need to be close to water. There's just something about it. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So looking back on, obviously you said Cahaba worms and a Zebco 33 and old Snoopy, but is there sort of a particular memory that sticks out, like beyond even that, like with Paw? Maybe there's a big fish that story's been told and the fish has gotten bigger perhaps, or there's just a good memory that sticks out from the early memory of fishing.
probably my most favorite memory of him was he had the original Cahaba tree like right outside, and he like, so where I grew up, like my aunt and uncle and cousin were like right next door to me, and then on the other side he was like down the hill, so we all lived like close knit family outside all the time. But he would do like an owl call whenever he saw me outside, like a barred owl call. And so he would see me outside. I would walk down there, and he would always get me to help him knock off Cahaba trees with, like, he had this giant like wooden pole. And so I would always, like, he was like a hoarder of Cahaba worms. Like that generation, like they fished to eat, like they fished to survive, you know, went through the Great Depression. So he would like literally freeze gallon bottles of Cahaba worms.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've heard. I remember some folks doing that.
Yeah. So after he passed away, like we found some from like 1975. We were like, all righty. He went a little bit, you know, overboard. But just seeing him out there, I don't know if there's one particular story, but just the whole, like, just the way we grew up, and, you know, he seeing his fishing buddies come over and talk about, you know, what they did on the river, like that community of just like that older generation. I love it, hearing their stories and stuff.
My half brother, his dad was a veterinarian in Jasper, Dr. Wolf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And wow. My brother lives in Auburn currently.
Okay. Yeah.
Home builder there, but close
Very
ties
cool.
to Jasper up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you talk about it not being one specific story. You know, I think that's kind of resonates with me too, as far as, you know, it was just kind of the way it was, you know. I remember several phenomenal days on the water with my dad, but, you know, that's one or two of hundreds.
Right.
You know, and it's not like, it's not like those days were any more special or less special if I didn't catch a whole bunch of fish, or if it wasn't a record-breaking day or anything like that. Right. It's just having those memories that are continual way of life is something that I'm hoping to pass down to my children. And you have children. You have three girls.
I have three little girls. Yes.
Have you gotten them into fishing?
So they all love fishing. One of the twins, Tinsley, she is very much into fly fishing. She actually is the one I took to the casting clinic not too long ago, and she used my 4-weight glass rod and pulled in, I don't know how big of a largemouth bass out of the pond. Like, awesome. She was literally like braced, like she had her legs like spread apart, like braced, like pulling it, you know, and I was like, pull the line. She loves it. Her sister, the other twin, is a little bit not as much into it. But she loves just being outside with us. And then my oldest, I'm actually trying to get into, I just started recently tying flies. And so I'm trying to get her, you know, kind of just as a little thing she can do when she has some time. So.
Oh, that's so just cool. Being creative like that is.
Yeah.
Into it.
My daughter loves it. You know, she loves to sit in the tree stand with me. And
yes, you know, I saw that video of her like just prancing through the woods. I love
her pink camouflage.
Pink camo, yeah.
That's
I love it.
She told me to leave my rifle, but she wanted me to take my camera. And so
I love it.
I'm glad old big boy didn't walk out there, and all I had to show was a picture of it.
Right. That's so true. I can't tell you how many times like I sat in the shooting house with my dad, and I mean, he couldn't have killed anything anyway, because I just would not stop talking about everything. I would just get so excited, and he would kind of elbow me, and I'm like, what? They're beautiful, you know, and he's like, they are, but we're also trying to kill one. So, you know, just such amazing. Great memories. Yeah.
One of the things that I've seen you were involved with is the Mayfly project.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that, and then, you know, how people can be involved in something like that?
Absolutely. So the Mayfly project was always something that I saw, being in the fly fishing community was something I always saw them doing out west, you know, in trout streams and stuff like that. And Roel contacted me, it was probably about a year ago, and he was like, hey, what do you think about kind of helping us get the Mayfly Project off the ground in Alabama. And I was like, that's fantastic. So it's a nonprofit organization that takes kids in foster care, and we teach them how to cast, how to assemble the fly rod, how to tie flies, how to fish, but more so how to use it as an outlet to get outside and enjoy themselves and use it almost like a therapeutic way. So, and most of these kids, you know, have not ever caught a fish. Some of them have never been fishing. Some of them, you know, don't get outside very much. And it's just a way to kind of get them excited about it. And if anything, just gets them outside close to the water, because we all know how good that is.
Yeah. Anytime people encounter the realities of what foster care looks like in the foster care system, it's pretty dark, and it's deeply, you know, it's so sad, because like that's so far from the way I grew up, you know. So it's like, how can someone end up like that, or how can someone let a child end up in that situation? And then, you know, you just take for granted the opportunities that we had, you know. And so what an incredible way to, you know, to love on those kids and to create a space for experiences that are, you know, life altering. You know, I would imagine for some of them, life altering. That's really, really cool. Because
and it's through no circumstance of their own. And, you know, you start to realize, like, wow, my childhood, like, not every kid gets that kind of childhood. And I was so blessed to have a pawpaw and a dad that would take me in the woods and, you know, all of that stuff that a lot of kids don't get the experience to do. So, Roel is a great person to reach out to if anybody's interested. And I think they're trying to actually get a project off the ground in Birmingham. Huntsville is about to start their project. So it's kind of just blooming from there. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Really cool. Really, really cool.
Yeah, that's amazing work that you all are doing there. And it looked like from a picture that I saw that you are catching some really big trout.
Yes. Okay. So that was from the All Kids Fish, the Becca Sukron. She takes these kids, these inner city, like, kids and girls. That was the girl trip that I was on. Yeah, that was the biggest trout I've ever seen in my life.
That was a pig. I mean,
I was trying not to, like, lose my mind in front of my mentee, but I was like, you literally just caught the biggest fish that I've ever seen in real life. Like,
it was a slab. Know. I mean, it had to have been huge. Like 22, 23 inches, and
it was
fat.
Huge.
I mean,
yeah,
it was like a
where
torpedo.
It was
what part of Georgia was it?
Yeah, it was in Helen. Yeah, it was in Helen. Close to, I'll give you a little hint. It was close to Unicoi Fly Shop, if that helps at all. Cool. Yeah, but
okay. And that was just for a trip for a girls' trip. What a great opportunity! Cool. That's awesome.
I guess that's similar to what Steve and the On River Time guys do, except they go out west.
Yeah, this seems to be more chapters, local chapters, and things like that. This is very cool. Very same mission minded as what they're doing there.
Very, very much so. And we also just met Robin Sims. I don't know if y'all are familiar with her, but she and I are actually getting ready to start an Alabama women's fly fishing chapter, because Alabama does not have one. Yes,
that is awesome.
One.
When is that starting?
So we're trying to get that off the ground in, like, February. Okay. So it's going to be nationally recognized, and just a place for women, because there's a lot of women that, like, are comfortable fishing, but they're a little scared to get out there and, you know, fly fish because they feel like they don't know what they're doing. This is a place where we can all come together and be like, you know what, we don't know everything, but we'll figure it out. And
I love it.
You know, it's a chance for little girls to hopefully, you know, have us to look up to and, you know, say, you know what, we can do that too. So it's possible. Yeah.
Now, did I see that Robin just started a guide service?
Yes. We actually just had lunch with Justin, the Coosa Riverkeeper, who is amazing. And they are actually starting up a kids educational course where it teaches kids how to just take, you know, bait and tackle and just, you know, go out and fish, and then how to check to make sure it's safe to eat. And which is I'm all about like all these like fancy trips, and everything, but teaching a kid how to use their local resource, like their local creek, their
Yes.
backyard to fish, how to, maybe provide some meat, a fish for, their mom if she's having trouble like making ends meet. Say, Mom, I can go out and I can catch us some fish for dinner, how to do it safely.
Yeah.
So they're about to kick that program into gear. So, which that is, I think that's amazing
What a
too.
great,
So,
what a great opportunity.
yeah, yeah.
So switching gears just a little bit,
Okay.
so we say this podcast is somewhere between Lewis and Tolkien and Lewis and Clark, and what that essentially means is we talk about faith and the outdoors. So, what is it about fishing or the outdoors that allows you to experience God in a different way?
I think for me personally, I feel the closest to God when I'm outside in nature. I feel like He is right there with me. There just to be around His creations and be among them and to see everything that He made and created. That's where I feel the most like spiritual is out there in the water, in the woods, closest to Him. That's how I've always been. Even when I was little, I would sit outside, watch the sunset and just be in awe that He created something so beautiful and amazing. I don't know. I've always been observant like that, but that's where I feel closest to Him. That's where I've always felt closest to Him.
You referenced it earlier about the colors and the intricacies of all of the animals. I mean, and it is. I feel very similar to what you were just saying. There's so much that we can learn from God's intentionality and His creativity and His bigness. If that's a word, but just observing things around us in nature. The beauty of those trout and the bass here in Alabama and the sunfish. I mean, some of those sunfish here in Alabama. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That looks like something that should be in an aquarium somewhere.
I always say that he spent more time on the long-eared sunfish. He gave a little bit more time to those long-eared sunfish because they are unbelievable.
He settled in on that one.
Yeah, he took a few more seconds on those. Yeah, because they're they're amazing. But I think like as a culture, like we've gotten into this like huge rush. Like, we don't take time like we used to when we were kids and to just stop and like observe a flower or watch a bird or, do all those things. It passes us by. And I don't know. That's one thing I try to teach the girls is to stop and take notice of everything that's been created around you because it's a miracle. It's such a miracle.
Yeah. Just recently, it was last Friday, one of the guys that goes to my church, he calls me up and he has a nice flat skiff. And I don't. And so
I saw this story. Yes, I saw this. Yes.
So when he calls to go, I'm like, yes. I'll go.
Absolutely.
And so we went, and the water temp was really hot, and we ended up not catching much. However, he caught one small he called it a dink redfish. But I don't know if you go back and look at that reel at the end of it, the redfish's tail had like this blue color to it.
Yes, the blue.
And it was really cool. I'd never seen that before, and I wish I'd have gotten a better picture of like his jaw, underneath his jaw, and all the edges of his fins had that bluish color, which I read came from like the amount of like shrimp and crustaceans and stuff.
Crustaceans.
Bigger fish don't have it because they're eating other fish because they're
right.
Food.
Right.
But the smaller ones, they're the ones that are making their way on more crabs and shrimp, and the levels of, I can't remember what it was. It was something that was in them that gave them this sort of blue pigmentation, which we have the blue crabs down here, which I would imagine that would be one of them.
Right.
It was just fascinating.
Beautiful.
We spooked a lot of fish, but we didn't catch a lot of fish. But the water was super low. We almost got stuck a couple of times because it was so muddy, but it was so good to be out there. And
yes.
And then when, you pull something like that out of the water, you just go, my goodness, that this can't be a mistake.
that was so intentional. Yes,
intentionally
absolutely.
made. And
Mm-hmm.
man, and I love seeing, when the sunlight hits a redfish, like there's just multiple layers of color within those things, and man,
There are. Yeah.
so incredible, and they're very aggressive when you do catch them. It's a whole lot of fun on a fly rod.
You get to see your backing on that, right? You get to see some backing.
That was the first time I'd ever found the drag on my fly reel.
There we go.
Most of the time they're small little creek trout, and that was not a creek trout. That was
an experience.
We weren't pulling that in with the line.
Yeah.
We were reeling that in.
Right.
That's
awesome. Right.
It's so much fun.
One of the other fish that I like so much when they get that blue color is the spawning red eye.
Oh, I want to see that. I've only ever seen pictures of that. I want to see.
Oh my goodness, you have to. Yes.
Yep. That's a goal for this year, Brad.
Oh, have to. Yes, you have to. Those fish, like I had worked on those fish for about a year or two before I actually got the chance to go and fish for them. And I felt so bad after I saw them in person. I was like, I have not done you justice. You are so pretty. Yep. They're beautiful. I mean, they're beautiful. Yeah.
Well, you had a chance to go with the red-eyed doctor himself.
I did. Dr.
Matt Lewis.
That's what I call him now.
Hey, quick question. Did you catch any hybrids? You catch any hybrids?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And you should see, the funniest thing is to experience Matt catching a fish that is not a red eye. Like he just holds his rod and reel just out there, like remove
disdain.
Yourself from my hook.
Just pure disdain.
Just go on. Just go.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about that because isn't there a film that was made from this trip?
Yeah. So let's see, Matt approached me. It was actually the last fly fishing film fest at Cahaba, and he was like, "Hey, Ben and George of Dorsal are gonna, probably come by your booth today and just kind of talk to you about something." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds good." And he said they've kind of got a project in mind, and I was like, "All right, sign me up. I'm all for adventure." So anyway, they came by and told me kind of what they were thinking, like their mission was for this film. And I was like, absolutely. Because a lot of people don't consider Alabama a place to fly fish. It's like we are supposed to, travel elsewhere. And if you think about it, Alabama has the most diversity. Like our water has the most diversified of let's face it, a lot of other places. And, so I had no idea really what I was signing up for that day. But we had the chance to complete the Red Eye Slam in one day. And so we went,
what?
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't done it in 4 years.
We went to the watersheds. We went to the Cahaba watershed, the Black Warrior. We went to the Tallapoosa and the Coosa. And
wow.
We did it. It was by the last one in a day, because there were a couple of other people that had tried it, and Matt was like, I've never done it, I'm supposed to do all this, let's try it. And so they got it on film, and it's so much fun. I've never had so much fun and been so tired and sore and exhausted. It was the best experience.
Was it like soon as you caught one, you're like, all right, let's go?
Oh, yeah. Okay. And so Matt, Matt knows what he's doing. He literally wrote the book on it, and so he would be like, all right, got the Cahaba. And I'm still trying to tie my fly on, to the thing. And so I'm like, okay, so we're done that. We've got that one. And he did that with a couple. There was one, and I don't know if I'm supposed to give it away, but there was one that he didn't succeed on as well as the other ones. And so I got to pull my weight a little bit with that one.
Yeah, nice.
And he's still I still bother him about it. I'm like, oh, what about that one fish? You had a little trouble with that one. So, you just got to make sure he doesn't get too full of himself, 'cause
you're lucky he was like, that was a high.
Right. You're right. Oh, exactly. But you couldn't believe the amount of sunfish we saw that day. And it was just like, no, not today, sunfish. Not today.
Yeah.
Because I love your sunfish, time, but I was
not
like,
today.
Yeah, I will appreciate you on another day, but today we're on a mission. So
Man, I love we just recently today was it today? Yeah, Wednesday's today. We released
mhm.
Hank's
Yes,
bait
listen
shop
to it.
episode today,
Yes.
and he said something about Alabama. He called it the North American's Amazon, and I thought that was a
Yeah.
cool way
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
saying just how diverse our waters are. I mean, for me, living in Mobile, right here on the Delta. I mean, as a crow flies, I'm only like 2 miles from
Hmm.
from the Delta, and
Hmm.
that flows right into the top of the bay, and you have all that brackish
Right.
water and salt water. I mean, there's more
All
water than I could probably explore in a lifetime here. And all of it has fish that I could catch with a fly rod, species
mm-hmm.
that I could target with a fly rod. And so it's astounding to me that it's not a fly fishing mecca,
Right.
honestly, for people to
Right.
come here to experience lots of different kinds of, from striped bass to trout. Now, I mean, I've
Yes.
heard people catch trout. I hadn't caught one yet in Alabama.
Right.
I got
Yeah.
one.
Right. Yeah. I haven't either. Yeah. But there's
But
so much to choose from, so many opportunities to catch something,
yeah,
especially that's native to the area. I mean, God, yeah, it's so much fun.
from smallmouth bass to red-eye bass to redfish and speckled
Hmm.
trout. I mean, I even caught a flounder one time on a fly rod. That was pretty awesome.
That's exciting. That's
It was
awesome.
amazing. Yeah.
Caught a
Yeah.
catfish one time on a fly rod.
Do
Hey,
what?
I'd be happy.
Caught a
I'd be happy
catfish one
catching
time.
anything.
You did. That's right. We were with Craig Godwin, and he caught a huge. It was like a
Cat-
blue. Was that a blue cat?
Yeah, it had to have been 15 pounds.
It was amazing. And the Tallapoosa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's incredible.
So how can people watch this film?
So it is going to be in the I4 Film Festival, the international one. So it will play in the part that I love the most is that Alabama, I was born, raised here in Alabama, and I think it's unbelievably beautiful. But like we were saying, people go elsewhere to fish, but it captures Alabama in such a majestic way
That's a
that
lot
the
of water.
fact, yes,
Yeah.
and all of it's different. Like the
Yeah.
Tallapoosa looks totally different than the Coosa. And the Black Warrior watershed looks completely different than the Cahaba watershed. And they captured it so beautifully. But the fact that it's going to be played in like Canada and England, and
Cool.
that just it's so exciting because Alabama deserves it. I mean, the
That's cool.
people deserve it. Yeah, but
I've seen some of
do
the dorsal guys. Their work is, man, they put out some really really cool projects. So
they do, and they're so down to earth. Like it's not. Sometimes with fly fishing, you get this like elite mentality that, nobody messes up, nobody gets caught in a tree, everybody's cast is beautiful. And they're so down to earth. And they're like, look, we got to laugh at ourselves because we're all out there just, we mess up. We have fun doing it. We got to laugh at ourselves because fly fishing is supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be enjoyable. And not this, just where everything has to be perfect. And it can sometimes be. So
uber pretentious.
Yeah, very much so. Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes we refer to this podcast as a digital campfire.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the campfire, which I'm excited, the weekend weather is going to be perfect for campfire weather. So hopefully everybody's got their fire pits and going to build some fires in there
with some Mobile Bay firewood.
That's right. We have friends in Mobile Bay. We have some good friends of mine that own a firewood company here in Mobile, and they've given us a little discount code. So if you're in the Mobile area, use that code and get you some discount on some firewood. But yeah, this segment brought to you by Mobile Bay Firewood.
Right. What a perfect. Yeah, that was perfect.
Yeah, MaryBeth, if you're sitting around a fire, what's your favorite, like your story that you tell if you're sitting around a fire?
So I will actually share a story from this whole filmmaking experience because I don't think this part actually made it into the film, but it deserves to be out there. So when you're fishing, like, backwaters and stuff like that, you get in some areas that you don't have self-service. You don't have, you're in the middle of nowhere. So we were taking care of one of the species, and we were up in Winston County. And, I'm from Walker County, but I understand Winston County very well. And People from Alabama probably have heard stories from, about Jasper, Walker County, Winston County, and all that stuff. So, but Ben, George, and Matt are not as familiar as things that go on, just like that happen in the middle of nowhere. And so we are all in a truck. We're in Matt's truck. Matt's driving, and we get ready to turn down a one-way gravel road because we're about to find some like water that nobody's around. And a U-Haul truck sees us turning and turns on their signal. And so I'm like, okay, this is kind of sketchy. All right, but whatever. And this gravel road is about 5 miles long, and this truck is in behind us for like 5 miles. And the guys are like talking and stuff like that. And I'm over there thinking, like, guys, this is scary. Like, y'all, this is making me a little nervous. Okay, this is kind of uncomfortable. And
there's a box truck following us on a one-lane gravel road.
One-lane road in the middle of nowhere. Like, where is he moving to? Where is he going? What's that? So we park, and Matt just hops out, starts getting his fishing gear, and I'm like looking at Ben. I'm like, I don't think you understand, but there might be barrels of acid in the back of that U-Haul truck. So just, let's, let's be a little cautious. And so the guy comes out and he's like, oh, just stretching my legs. And Matt kind of looked at him like, stretching your legs out here? Like, what's going on? And some other people pulled up, and he got uncomfortable and got back in his U-Haul truck and then just turned around and drove off. And I'm like, y'all, it's just like, we need to bebop down to our fishing hole and be as excited that we just survived that, because I'm pretty sure like he was up to no good. Like,
oh my goodness.
It was like, and they don't understand like the importance of how sketchy that was. But I'm like, there's nobody for miles, like miles and miles, no cell service, nothing. So we had a little skip in our step. Once I explained to him, I was like, guys, that was not like that.
Good. Was not yeah, you had to catch that red eye quick.
Exactly. Yeah. So just,
banjo music.
Right. That's what Ben said. And I was like, well, that's the area we're in, guys. Like, it's just a little, you have to just watch your surroundings a little bit.
Hey, boy.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Right. Right. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That gets me that's a little bit different than a bear story.
Scary story.
I'm looking over my shoulder now.
I listened to Hank's bear story this morning, and I was like, I don't have a bear story. I'm gonna have to give him the U-Haul truck story.
Yeah, the U-Haul one-lane road truck story. Though.
Right. That's a different kind of scary. So
I was in around Savannah, Georgia, one time with a friend who was looking at a sailboat, McCarran, and
Chris McCarran. Nice.
Yeah. And so we're out there, and it was the early days of navigational, like turn-by-turn navigation. So it takes us down this long dirt road, and there's nothing out there but just small pine trees. And we actually passed somebody wearing all orange, looked like they had just gotten out of the prison. and like 2 miles ahead, it says, you have reached your destination. And I'm like, no, we hadn't.
No,
we did not. I'm not. We're not.
Technology
here.
Drove my car into a lake.
Yeah, the technology about got us taking on a dirt road. So that's some scary stuff. My goodness, if I was at a campfire and you told me that story, I'd probably pack it up and head on back.
Yeah, it was.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it was scary, but we survived and we fished.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm kind of glad that one didn't make the film. Let's be honest. That wouldn't look too good on the old Alabama.
No.
Well, what's your next adventure?
So I'm actually so y'all know Rob Rogers from Deep South.
Yep.
So I actually was in his shop the other day, and he introduced me to a gentleman. Turns out the gentleman is one of the owners of the Palometa Club, the #1 permit catching place in the world. He showed him some of my work. And so I am actually about to start working on some artwork for their lodge.
What?
Yeah. I'm kind of pinching myself big time. So I was actually there yesterday talking to Rob, letting him look at like my first draft of a 40-inch permit to go on their wall. So
Wow.
that stuff, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of blown away at the opportunity. Like, I'm like, I don't know if I deserve that. Y'all, are you sure? Like, it's a big opportunity, and
That is great. Are you going to get to go down there and make sure that they're put in the right spot?
I personally think, like, I feel a little nervous, like, just sending them down there. Like, I feel like I need to protect them, like, hold them like babies,
Take them with you. You got to self-deliver those, hand-deliver those. Yeah.
I would think so. I would think so.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm kind of pitching. So
what a great opportunity.
Yeah. And I tell Rob, like, you have no idea, like, how amazing of community, like, he has so many connections, and he's always, like, connecting people, and, you know, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's a great community to be, to be a part of. So
it really is.
But and the women's fly fishing, those are kind of my bigger projects right now. So
super cool.
I can't wait to follow along with that and reshare all those posts on our Instagram. I mean, that's a fantastic opportunity. And if this episode airs after that, we're going to put that in our show notes as well, as far as how to follow along with the women's fly fishing.
Yeah, send us like the links, for how to connect people to that and so forth.
Okay, absolutely, really absolutely.
Cool. MaryBeth, how can people find your art that are listening? Perhaps maybe they don't follow you on Instagram and they've never heard of that, but they want to go buy some art. How can they support your work?
So I currently have an Etsy shop, but my goal for the new year, which is another project I'll probably be working on over the holidays, is I have a website, and I've done everything myself. So it's taken me forever, but I'm hoping to have it up and going after the new year. So that would be, it'll just be mbmeeks.com. So
nice.
Yeah.
Wow. We'll definitely send people that way. That is.
Thank you.
You do great work, and it's been so good to hear firsthand the process and get to know the person behind the art.
Yeah. And
Thank you.
I'm really looking forward to watching the film too, seeing
Thank you.
all the action.
We'll have to get you catching some red-eye bass in the spring.
I know. That's definitely a goal for the new year, is to see them in all of their glory. The red-eye bass. Yes. That'd be awesome.
Yes.
This has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for just stopping and taking time to join us, MaryBeth.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. It was an honor to be invited on here. So I appreciate you all.
We're very excited to share your work with the people that follow us. And, we talked about it with Hank just about, and you referenced it with Rob, like, this community is such a fun community, a supportive community, and just to have opportunities to introduce you to people that, like, from, people that are my friends down here that like to fly fish, maybe, but they haven't seen your stuff. They aren't a part of the sort of Birmingham, that North Alabama crew. And so just to see, people elevated, an opportunity for people to encounter artwork from you or artwork from Hank, see the community grow, and just hold each of you guys up and introduce y'all to folks is really fun for us to do, and to hear your story. And it takes us back. I know it took me back to Cahaba worms and catfish.
Yeah.
What great memories. And that's really what this is all about. And thankful that you didn't get put into a panel truck and
me too
driven off and dropped into some lake somewhere with some cinder block shoes or something.
Exactly.
That's such a scary story. Now I'm going to have nightmares. Thanks a lot.
No, it's totally fine. We all survived. So
yeah. So may we all take a moment, when we go out, whether it's for a walk or we get to go fish, and we pull a fish out of the water and we look at those colors and marvel, and take time to slow down and recognize all of those things, and maybe write them into stories. That's a good story. That'd be one worth writing down and making it a bigger story.
Yeah.
And really, that's what we hope happens with these podcasts. These conversations really encourage people to write stories and share those stories, like we're doing now with their family and their friends around fires, or perhaps on this podcast. So we hope that's what happens, and people are encouraged to do that.
I love it.
So they'll write those stories, they'll share those stories, and they'll have adventures in what we love to call the storied outdoors.
I love it.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please take some time to leave us a review, or better yet, share it with a friend. We hope these stories encourage you to write your own stories and share your own adventures in the storied outdoors.